Hi there VC, it's Steve Whitty here. Time for another video, and it's been a week and a half since the last one. I hope everyone is well, and those of us in the UK are getting through lockdown 2.0. It is difficult, but it's not as bad as it was. There's a few more things you can do. Obviously, the shops aren't open. We can exercise a lot more, be outside a lot more. It's just a case of being careful. And we've had the news this week. There may be a possible light at the end of the very long tunnel with the vaccine. So, you know, we've still got to stay positive. Today's video is a Gimme 10. I seem to be going through those. And this is Gimme 10 1980, and before people roll their eyes up and go, oh no, not another Gimme 10 1980, I'll explain more reasons why we're going to do this. This is partly based on, I saw excellent YouTube video, Word in Your Attic. It's Mark Ellen and David Epworth, used to write for Smash Hits and Word, Q and Mojo, and they showed a lot of albums that came out in 1980, a lot of classic albums that have turned 40 this year. And then I saw something on Facebook from Rolling Stone asking the question whether 1980 was the best year in rock music for album releases. I mean, obviously you've got your usual suspects here. River, U2, but Bruce Springsteen, AC/DC, Back in Black, which is one of my favourite albums of all time. U2, Boy, amongst others. There's plenty of decent records that came out, and I suppose it was begged the question. So my Gimme 1980 is going to be what I call the not so usual suspects, the albums that you wouldn't expect to be shown. Now, once I've shown them, I may get people commenting, well, so-and-so showed it on his video, yeah. Which, fair enough. I mean, there's plenty of vinyl community videos out there on YouTube, so I haven't seen them all. I don't pretend that I have seen them all. So, without further ado, these are my 10 albums. These are 10 albums from 1980, which I would call the not the usual suspects. So, first one, B-52's Wild Planet. Take out there we go. It's on the Island label. This is the band's second album, which this time was produced by Rhett Davis and the band, and Chris Blackwell, who produced the first album, was the executive producer on this album. This album includes Gimme Back My Man, Private Idaho, two of their better known tracks. Really good album. And it's not as the first album was that different. This was a bit more commercial, and it's sort of reflected in the fact, I think it was top 30, top 20 album in the US. Band was starting to take off at that point. Yeah, now it's really good album of its sort. It was different, somewhat different to what was going on in America at that point. Next album I'm showing is Boomtown Rats, Mondo, Bongo. This would be the band's fourth album. This was their first album for Mercury Records. They'd left Enzyme. Big deal. This is really where I think Bob Geldof really let rip, particularly on the song Banana Republic, which really was an attack on the establishment, the Republic of Ireland establishment. And this stems from, if I remember watching the documentary that was on earlier this year, the band tried to organise a big thank you concert in Ireland, and the government pulled the plug right to the last minute, and they ended up doing something like that very late, but it stuck in the craw of Geldof a little bit, and song Banana Republic was sort of like a bit of a withering attack on the government. It also includes Elephant Graveyard as well. I think if I'm right, they do a version of Under My Thumb, which they call Under Their Thumb as well. Yeah, really is a really good album. It's not, I mean, at this point, this sort of marked the downturn of the band's fortunes. Elephant's Graveyard wasn't that big a hit single, and I think suddenly the band's fortunes were started to wane at that point. Next album is Damned, the Black Album. This is a double album, came out, and this is where the band started really to play on their psychedelic influences. You've got, and it's also the first album that features Paul Gray, Eddie and Hot Rods on bass as well. So you've got History of the World Part 1. Side 3 is the song Curtain Call, which takes the whole of the side up. And then side 4 is a live album, and it's a live, so that you've got Love Song on there, Smash It Up, New Rose, I Just Can't Be Happy Today, amongst other tracks. Yeah, it was marked a change of direction. It was I think this was the last album they're going to have on Chiswick, I think. And again, it's they wanted, the problem I think the band had at that point, everyone still wanted them to be like 3 chords. They wanted to expand their musical, what am I going to use? Sort of their musical vocabulary a little bit more. They wanted to get away from that and explore psychedelic. It started a dip of their fortunes as well, which they clawed back towards the mid-80s with the sort of adopting more the goth style. Totally different genre. Gillen, Glory Road. This is the band's 3rd album. It's the first album they recorded for Virgin. Gillen had just had success with Mr. Universe on the Acrobat label. And it just so coincided, it fell into the heavy metal in the 1980, had a bit of an upturn thanks to new wave of British heavy metal. Obviously Gillen was never part of it, but they sort of benefited from it. They just had a hit single with Trouble. And this is possibly their best album. Unchain Your Brain, Are You Sure, Time and Again, No Easy Way, which was single, Sleeping on the Job, On the Rocks, If You Believe Me, which is like a blues number, Running, White Fast, City Boy, and Nervous. Really is a good album. This is very much a band album. There's the band there, sort of the classic lineup with Bernie Tormé on guitar. And it started a run of success for the band, which ran up to 1982, when Ian Gillen decided in his best of best, for God knows why, to get drunk and decide to join Black Sabbath. Again, just slightly moving different tact. Got Human League Travelogue, which was their 2nd album, which came out in 1980. Last album to feature the original quartet. Not long afterwards, Ian Craig Marsh and Martin Ware left the band to form 1117. And everyone thought at that point that was the end of the band. Got on here a re-recorded version of Being Boiled, which was originally put out on Fast Records. Touchables, very much still more art. The influences of the sort of like Kraftwerk and sort of like the art rock at that time was still showing through. And I think maybe the tensions there. I think Phil Oakey always wanted to be a pop star. And I think at that time they released an EP, Holiday EP, which they ended up performing rock and roll Part 1, Gary Glitter's Rock and Roll Part 1 on Top of the Pops. I think that sort of like indicated the direction that Phil Oakey wanted to go to, and where the others still wanted to be that more of that art rock, crack rock sort of phase. Sticking on the more alternative phase, and I've mentioned this band before when I did the Japan video. Japan, Gentlemen Taking Polaroids. Again, this is another band that's making their first album on Virgin. And this really is David Sylvian sort of like moving it away from the sort of like the rock. Japan started out as a rock band. This is more them being a sort of like Roxy music, sort of art rock. You can tell by the way they're dressing, where they were going. They got unfairly lumped in with New Romantics, and that's maybe because David Sylvian likes to wear a bit of foundation now and again, foundation and lippy. But this is a really good album. As I say, it took it a stage, it took them a notch above what was going on at the time. You got Night Porter, which I think is one of the brilliant best song on this album. Burning Bridges, My New Career. Absolutely wonderful album. I have got a soft spot for Japan. I've developed this quite late, but really makes some really interesting music. David Sylvian does make some really interesting music. The whole, so it's worth seeking out. 1980 saw the debut solo album from this man, John Fox, Metalmatic. We released this before the rest of Ultravox. We released Vienna, and obviously for Ultravox, the new revamped Ultravox went on to great success. But this is a really good album. It very much electronic. Underpass was the lead single. It's how I got into John Fox. I really wasn't aware at the time he had anything to do with Ultravox, and No One Driving as well. 2 great singles, minor hit singles. Just a wonderful sort of electronic synthesized album of that time. Recently, they showed last week on BBC4 and Nightingale, the one on Radio 1 DJ, sort of like was showing off the acts from the punk new wave era that sort of like infiltrated Top of the Pop television at that time, sort of shifted the music, and they showed the Top of the Pops performance for Underpass. Really good, great song, great album. He's still going. John Fox released an album this year with his band John Fox and the Maths. So well worth checking out. I've probably shown, and again, this is an album I've shown before. This is the Corgis' Dumb Waiters. Released again, it's the band's second album. And it's, if you don't know who the Corgis were, they sort of like rose from the ashes of Stackridge. There's the band at the back. Had 2 big hit singles, If I Can't Have You, which came out in '79, and the one Everybody's Got to Learn Sometime, which was a hit in America as well as in the UK. This album is wonderfully, very lyrical album. Very clever use of words. May got dismissed as a bit too poppy based on the strength of the singles, but really is worth checking out. Really is some great singles on there. There's the label. Released on the Rialto label in the UK. Dumb Waiters, the title track's a great one. Rover's Return, Love Ain't Too Far Away, Perfect Hard Test. It really is worth seeking out, this album. Very clever band. Maybe a bit too clever. In a way, a bit like Stackridge. Again, moving genres. The debut album for the Michael Schenker Group came out. Again, rode on the back of the interest in heavy metal. In a sense, they call it the Michael Schenker Group. It wasn't really. It's Michael Schenker and a group of session musicians, produced by Roger Glover. And the band at that point was featuring, let's see if I can find it on here. Yeah, Gary Barden was the vocalist. He was probably the only one that would be considered to be in the group. Simon Phillips on drums, Mo Foster on bass, and Don Airy on keyboards. The Rainbow Link there. Released on Chrysalis, so he kept his Chrysalis contract after leaving UFO. The songs on here, it is a toss-up between that and MSG, which is my favourite Michael Schenker group album. But you've got Armed and Ready, Cry for the Nations, the wonderful Lost Horizons, instrumental into the Bijou Pleasurette and Into the Arena as well. Really is I think, a really good solid rock album. And I thought at the time, particularly on the back of that, Michael Schenker would really become really big. Unfortunately, I think those demons that he has caused to press the self-destruct button. In '81, the band, in the end, when he got the band going, obviously he had Cozy Powell on drums, Paul Raymond guitar, keyboards, and Chris Glenn on bass. And then, for some reason, he decided to get rid of Raymond and Gary Barden, and it went through Graham Bonnet, and it just never felt the same. He never got the momentum back in my eyes. That he lost there. But those two albums, this and the MSG album, and the Budokan album, is well worth seeking out. And finally, number 10, Robert Palmer, Clues. This marked a change in direction. He started adapting more electronic sounds into his work, and he finally had a hit with the title track with Luke Looking for Clues. But I suppose the track that everyone knows of this album is Johnny and Mary. This got played to death on Radio 1 at the time, and for some reason it just never became a hit. Everyone thinks it's a hit, because everyone absolutely loves it, but it never was a hit. It was just one of the most frustrating things. Yeah, it was just a wonderful mixture of keyboard and sort of like guitar. It's wonderful. The whole album's really good as well. What Do You Care? Not for the Second Time. Found You Now. Sulky Girl. Really is a good album. I think the sort of period that he started to go, and he started that direction changed, and then he adopted more the guitar sound. Things like, obviously Riptide came out, but this to me might be his best solo album. Get that back in. There you go, VC. Those are my Gimme 10 1980. The Not So Usual Suspects. I still can't quite fathom how I'm going to call this. So, what do you think? Yeah, do you like any of those albums? Have you got any Not So Usual Suspects from 1980 that's worth showing? I think there was a couple more I could have shown, to be quite honest. But hey ho. So, well, thank you for watching. If you like what you see, and you're new to the channel, click on subscribe. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Love the interaction. Feel free to leave a comment. I will try to get back. I am a bit slapdash with it, to be honest. Life, other things. But whatever you get to, VC, look after yourselves. Take care. Keep spinning. More importantly, keep on smiling.